بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. في محاضرة اليوم سوف نتكلم عن الملكة فيكتوريا. هذه المحاضرة مسجلة من الكتاب. Queen Victoria. Her husband, Prince Albert, died suddenly of typhoid in 1861. Queen Victoria, his widow, was overcome with grief and wrote in her diary, "My life as a happy person is ended." Her happy life as a person ended by the death of her husband. She wore black for the rest of her life. For a long time, she refused to appear in public, which made her very unpopular. Queen Victoria died aged 80 on the 22nd of January 1901, and a new age, which is called the Edwardian Age, began. So, Queen Victoria was terribly affected by the death of her husband when she wrote in her diary, "My life as a happy person is ended." She wore black for the rest of her life, mourning the death of her husband. For a long time, she refused to appear in public, which made her very unpopular. Queen Victoria died aged 80 on 22nd January 1901, and a new age called the Edwardian Age began. Queen Victoria and colonialism. When we have to talk about colonialism, we explained before what is colonialism, kinds of colonialism, types of colonialism, and the role of the British colonialism in literature. So, what is the relationship between Queen Victoria and colonialism? In 1876, we have to focus on the date. Victoria was declared Empress of India, and the English Empire was constantly being expanded. The prevailing attitude in Britain was that the expansion of the British control around the globe was a good for everyone. While England had an obligation to enlighten and civilize the less fortunate savages of the world, often referred to as the white man's burden. So Queen Victoria was convinced in the project of colonialism and in the project of conquering other people and conquering other territories. She was declared Empress of India and the English Empire, which was constantly being expanded. The prevailing attitude in Britain that expansion of British control around the globe was good for everyone, was a civilized mission, was a holy mission. England had an obligation, a holy obligation, a holy mandate to enlighten, civilize the less fortunate savages of the world. Who are the less fortunate savages of the world? The people who are living and residing in the East like us. And that is called the philosophy of the white man person. It is the responsibility of the white man to enlighten, civilize, and Christianize the savage people like us who live in remote and distant areas in Middle East and Africa. Second, as they were destined to rule the world, finally they needed money, resources, labor, new markets for expanding industry in England. But the real reason for colonialism, as explained and illustrated, it is the need for money, resources, labor for the new markets and factories in England and other capitals for expanding industry in England. That is the real reason behind colonizing other countries. Because when we talk about colonialism, we have to link it closely to industrial revolution, which we explained in 3 lectures or 4 lectures. Queen Victoria and colonialism. By 1851, it was 21 million. By 1900, Queen Victoria reigned over 400 million people. By 1851, we focus on dates. It was only 20 million, 21 million, but by 1900, so we took about 50 years more, Queen Victoria reigned over 410 million people. British Victorians were excited, were happy by geographical exploration, by the opening up of Africa, the scramble for Africa, late 19th century, and Asia to the west, yet were troubled by the intractable Irish situation and humiliated by the failure of power war. So so England was in control with 21 million people. Then England now is in control of 400 million people due to the colonial project. British Victorians were happy and they were excited by the geographical exploration, which means colonizing other countries, exploiting their resources, making more money. That's what makes them happy. By the opening up of Africa, Asia to the west, yet they were troubled by the intractable Irish situation and humiliated by the failure of the power war. Yes, we have a British colonial power, but we have also resistance against the control and the power of the British colonial power. Queen Victoria and colonialism. If we look at the British Empire map, it was the largest empire ever consisting of over 25% of the world's population and area. It included India, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, Rhodesia, Hong Kong, Gibraltar, several islands in the West Indies, and various colonies on the African coast. In 1750, the population of Britain was 4 million. So the British Empire was the largest empire when we compare it with the French Empire, Belgian Empire, Portuguese Empire, Spanish Empire. It consisted of over 25% of the world's population and area, which included India, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, Rhodesia, Hong Kong, Gibraltar, and several islands in the West Indies, and various colonies on the African coast. These are called colonies under the British rule. In 1750, the population of Britain was only 4 million. 4 million for Britain was 4 million, controlling 25% of the world's population, controlling almost 410 million people. So when we have to remember Queen Victoria, we have to remember the colonial project, we have to remember her as an empress of India and England, and we have to remember her role in expanding colonialism and colonizing other countries. She was supportive of the colonial project. She considered it as a holy mission to control, civilize, and Christianize other people who are savages according to the Orientalist view. So when we talk about Queen Victoria, who was married to Prince Albert, we know that she was born on 24th May 1819. On the 10th of June 1837, we have to focus on this date because here we mean the start of the Victorian age, following the death of her uncle William the Fourth. She became queen at the age of 18. So Queen Victoria became a queen at the age of 18. She fell in love with her German cousin, Prince Albert, and they were married on the 10th February 1840. And as explained before, that English royal families were getting married to other families, royal families from France, from Germany, from Denmark, for political protection and military protection. We call them political and military alliances, political and military alliances for protection and for support. So marriage was a means between kings and queens. Marriage at that time was a means of political, political and military support. Between 1841 and 1857, Queen Victoria had 9 children, 4 sons and 5 daughters. And out of her children, you can say that she is a conservative woman and she believes in a big family. And her husband, Prince Albert, was very interested in art, science, and manufacturing, took a keen interest in the building of the Crystal Palace. He died suddenly of typhoid in 1861. His widow was overcome with grief and wrote her diary. My life as a happy person is ended. She wore black for the rest of her life. For a long time, she refused to appear in public, which made her very unpopular. Queen Victoria died aged 80 on 22nd January 1901. So when we call the Victorian age from 1837 up to 1901. After the death of Queen Victoria, a new age started, a new era started. It is called the Edwardian age. If you like this lecture, please leave a comment. If you don't subscribe, or you are not subscribing, or you forgot to subscribe, please subscribe. إذا عجبتك المحاضرة ما تنساش التعليق. إذا ناس تشترك اشترك عشان يوصلك كل جديد. تكلمنا اليوم عن الملكة فيكتوريا وعن علاقتها مع الاستعمار. وإلى لقاء آخر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.